Why do you think people fail with fitness?
I mean, there's a variety of reasons why people fail. I think that probably the biggest one is the motivation factor. And say one, because people will start because they become motivated on the spot, and then they're like, I got to do something about this. And it's one of those that they then come to the gym, they have no idea what they're doing. I say, and that's really what it is. And then they get stuck into the same pattern of doing the same thing over and over and over. And eventually they're like, why am I doing this? I'm not seeing any results. And then all of a sudden their frequency goes from, 5-6 days a week down to, 3-4, down to once a month.
Yeah. Well, even take it a step further, like if someone starts their fitness journey on motivation, they're going to become extremely reliant on motivation because that was their trigger to actually like get themselves into the gym. And it's like such a mistake because if you rely on that motivation every single time, it's like a feeling of happiness and sadness. It's going to go away. It's going to come back. So I agree with you. I think relying on that motivation is a hard one. And the other thing too is that people don't realize what is actually motivating. Like, okay, maybe you are lacking motivation. As far as I'm aware, most people just hop on YouTube, type in exercise motivation video, and then get pumped up, and then they go to the gym, and then you're like, okay.
I mean, that's what we used to do. We used to watch those videos,
I'm guilty.
and I say, seriously, before our huge, deadlift day or whatever, and they're like, yeah, pumping out to the...
Well, and like now, obviously, since 10 years have passed since then, like we've grown and learned it's such a stupid thing to be doing.
Well,
I mean,
and honestly, the biggest thing that you said there was that motivation is a feeling. And I say most people don't understand that. And like we can't stress that enough, that it's a feeling. Just like how happiness comes and go. You can't be happy all the time. If you're happy all the time, you're not actually happy. And I say it's just a state of being at that point. And it's one of those that you can't be motivated all the time.
It's the old superhero thing, man. It's good versus evil. Would evil exist if there was no good, or vice versa? And it's like, yeah, absolutely. Like those things. And I think that's something that I think a lot of people don't understand, is that things outside of here still apply to here. Like if you take something like, okay, you teach someone how to fail in a deadlift, and then they go to work and they fail a task, they learn how to cope and handle failure better from something here that relates to nothing exercise related out there. And I think that people, when they come in here, have one sort of like very tunnel vision thing. It's like, get me results. And it's like the only thing they care about. And I think you and I mean, I can't speak for you, but for me, in the last 11 years, I've learned so much outside of just getting results about my body, how much sleep I should be getting, the way I should be nourishing my body, carbohydrates, protein. Like there's so many other things that I've really learned over the last 11 years that blows motivation out of the water. Like it becomes such a small, unimportant thing in our routine because discipline has really taken over. You know what I mean?
And it's honestly, I don't remember the last time I was motivated to work out. Honestly, it was probably the beginning of 2021. And say because I was getting married in 10 months. That was it. And say, and that lasted all of 3 months. But it's one of those that, I've been working out for like 18 years. It's one of those that you don't work out for 18 years on motivation.
Absolutely.
You work out for 18 years based on the discipline of, one, I'm trying to be better than yesterday. And if I'm not better than yesterday, I go and sit here and go, what am I doing if I'm not trying to be better than yesterday?
Well, I like that you use the wedding example. I think a lot of people fall into that same trap with motivation, right? Like they have a wedding, that's very motivating, but then we've had plenty of clients here where they have a wedding in X amount of time, and then that wedding hits and we never see them again. And it's like you sit there and go like, wait, what just happened? Are you doing this just to look good for the wedding, or are you actually like caring about your health and wellness? You know what I mean?
That's what I think it really comes down to, is that, we're talking so much about motivation and why people fail. It goes so much deeper than that, that it's like behavioral, that it's these people were ingrained that I need to look good for my wedding. I'm expected to look bad after the wedding. I'm married, I let myself go. And it's like, there's not really a reason to let yourself go, because you're letting your health go, not, looking good. And say, don't get me wrong, I say looking good is a nice benefit of working out. And say, but it's one of those that you kind of said it earlier too, that there's so many other health benefits when it comes to working out, that it's like that should actually be your motivation. And that, and maybe that's really what it is at the end of the day, is that a motivation is derived from the wrong place, meaning that, and say the motivation is derived from needing or wanting to look good by losing weight. But in reality, it's one of those that a lot of the health benefits will come way before losing weight. I say, it's one of those that, heart health, I say, is going to come way before losing weight. And that's, we're talking about living longer at that point.
Right, I was going to say, and that list is very the tip of the iceberg with just, heart health. I mean, that list can go on forever and ever, but yet all these people get super hyper fixated on, okay, I didn't lose 5 pounds, why am I doing this? It's pointless. And it's like, okay, well, what about the other 99 benefits that you're getting out of exercise? Like, why wouldn't you want to keep going because of that? It's a confusing topic for me.
Well, and that's another one that it's like, how many clients have you had come in and go, yeah, I've been told I'm a crab ass at work, and then I started working out again, and it's people notice a difference in my mood, and it's like, and say, I feel like that's way more common than, I say, people coming in and actually losing weight.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's really the thing, is that, that's fine. Weight loss, looking good, if that's what motivates you, great. But you have to understand that there's more to it than just that.
Right. Well, or think of it this way: if someone was hyper fixated on weight loss, you can kind of use that same example as if you were to have a wedding. Okay, well, if you hit your weight loss goal, then what? You're just not going to be working out? Because essentially that's what you're telling me, right? So, it's that same sort of thing. They have this end goal fixation, but what they have to understand is that at some point they're going to go past that. And we have to kind of see what is beyond, or where's that grass greener on the other side. Now, I will make an argument, because I'm actually a firm believer that why people fail in fitness is, honestly, it's a lack of education. I won't lie. I think that's where...
And I think that everything that we've said so far points to that.
Yeah, 100%.
That it's, and it is. It's one of those, when I said that, motivation, people are being motivated for the wrong reasons. It's because they're not educated on the right reasons to get motivated.
100%. I actually had one of our new clients that signed up last week. She came in today, and she was like, not gonna lie, I tried to remember everything you told me and all these things, but I had a hard time remembering everything. And I was like, so tell me after your first day, what you thought about everything. And she goes, this was nothing like I thought it was gonna be. It's a very educational experience. And she goes, it's very refreshing to understand things as opposed to just being told what to do. She's had multiple personal trainers in the past, and every personal trainer she's ever had literally ran her into the ground. She couldn't get up off the toilet the next day, so she quit. So it was one of those things that when she came here and we started doing this education thing, she, I think, started to understand that it's not just about getting from A to B as fast as possible. There's a certain process and order for you to get to A to B, and if you don't follow that process in our hierarchy, then you end up kind of not getting to the goal in the right way. And I think she was actually a little bit blown away by the amount of information that she was receiving, because like I said, she's had trainers in the past and they just tell her what to do instead of understanding biomechanics, why we're doing what we're doing, making sure the form is correct, and making sure we don't push too much intensity. Because ultimately, if everyone had this education in grade school and high school, personal training wouldn't even be a career. That's what kind of makes me laugh, is I say to myself, hey, instead of trying to change the fitness industry, maybe we should change the education system. Maybe we need to change the way gym class is approaching gym with their kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and it's not just, that's the problem, is that, nobody, I think, even knows the education aspect of it. Is really what it comes down to it. The food pyramid isn't even a thing anymore. And that's coming right from the government. And it's that we rely on these people, to tell us what's right and wrong, and they don't even know. And that's the issue. And it's one of those that, who knows? We could go back in 10 years and sit and look at this video and go, wow, we were a bunch of a-holes for what we said, because, we just didn't know what we know now. But that's the thing, is there's just so much information out there, and I don't think people can, figure out what's right and actually wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then again, that comes back down to the education. And granted, I know we're drifting a little bit from why the people fail from fitness at that point. And say, but you're right. It comes down to the education and just teaching people.
Or even taking it a step further, I mean, social media has been on a rise for the last 15 years, and it's a platform for potentially uneducated people to give their opinions about stuff. And I've heard so many people on Instagram and social media say, don't squat, don't deadlift, don't lunge, and we're sitting here going, those are functional movements. Everyone should be able to at least perform some version of that. So for them to generalize a black and white all or nothing mindset of never do these things, it's like, okay, well, if you're a general population person and this other person on social media is ripped to the bone, shredded, 15 abs, huge pecs, like, yeah, you're gonna listen to him because you think he knows what's up, but you have no idea what kind of performance enhancing drugs that person may or may not be on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's and it really is unfortunate because it's one of those that these Instagram influencers or whatever we want to call them as a whole, the exercises they're demoing and doing aren't even the ones that got them to the place that they're at. And it's one of those that, and then it comes back to the motivation thing, that it's like, oh, I'm motivated to do the exercise, and then all of a sudden I don't get the results on that exercise. And it's like, the results are going to come from your functional movements because that's how we were supposed to move.
Yeah, absolutely.